Hi everyone, I'm Allie with the Potomac Bead Company, and I'm going to show you how to make buttons into earrings. A lot of people have buttons sitting around at home that they have their grandmother's buttons or buttons that they're using, and they may not know exactly what you want to do with them, but if you have two that are the same, it's really easy to make a simple pair of earrings out of buttons. This button is a hold button. You can do this with a 2-hole or a 4-hole button. The things that you'll need are your buttons, another bead if you want that. I'm just using some 4mm check glass above it. Your ear wires. You're going to be working with raw wire, so you're working with 24 or 22 gauge wire, depending on your button and kind of the beads that you're using. I have a round nose pliers that I'm going to use to make my loop. I have a wire cutters that I'm going to use to cut my 22 gauge wire. And I have my chain nose or flat nose pliers that I'm using. And I'm going to be using these to make my buttons into earrings. So to start, I've cut 2 pieces of wire that's about 4 inches. This is longer than it's going to need to be, but that's up to you, depending on what you kind of want it to look like. So there's 2 options. I'll show you one on the one earring and one on the other. The easy option is to just go through the top hole of the button, and this is going to be just like wrapping a briolet. You're going to crisscross the wire right above the button. So that's the side view of the button. Usually I use my flat nose pliers to hold, but in this case I'm going to use my round nose pliers just because it's a tight space to get in there. My shorter piece of wire I'm going to take and I'm going to wrap that around my longer piece. Just 2 times. And then I'm going to cut off the extra wire with my wire cutters. I'm going to take my needle nose pliers then, and I'm just going to kind of bend that down a little bit so that the tail's not sticking up. I'm going to then take my accent bead, which is my check glass. I'm going to put that onto my wire, and then I'm going to make a little coiled loop. Taking the wire over top of the round nose, switching from top jaw to bottom jaw. If you have problems with this and you need to know how to do a coil loop, you can also check out some of our other YouTube videos. I'm going to hold that loop and I'm going to coil. I have my 2 coils in, and then I'm going to take my needle or my wire cutters and cut off the extra wire. After that, I'm going to take my needle nose pliers again and just make sure that that little end is pinched down. And then you'll have a nice little drop for your button earring. So for this next one, what I'm going to do is actually decorate the middle a little bit. This one here has the bead coming off right through the top hole of my button. This one I'm going to be working with both holes. I'm going to take wire through the back of my button to the front of the button, and I'm going to put a bead actually in between the 2 holes of the button. To get that secure in place, I'm going to take my wire and go through the top hole of the button. When I pull that wire, and this is why I'm using 24 gauge wire because it's nice and thin, I'm going to pull that. It's going to decorate the middle of the button with a little bead. I'm going to get rid of the wire that came through the button by just wrapping it once around the back and around that long piece of wire. I'm then going to take my wire cutters, cut off that extra wire, and just tuck it down with my needle nose pliers. Now I get to concentrate on the front of the button. I bend the long piece of wire towards the top of the button, turn it over the front. I'm angling it around my button. My button has a little bit of curvature to it, so I'm angling it around my button. At the top of the button here, I'm going to make my coiled loop. And you can see that wire's coming off the button. I'm going to show you how to anchor it in. So we have our coiled loop right above, and we have our design. What I'm going to do with this extra wire is design the middle of the button even more and anchor it in by wrapping it around my center bead. I'm just using my fingertips for this and coiling it and wrapping it around. I'm going to take my needle nose pliers then and just kind of finish my coil by pressing down a little bit and pinching. And that's going to get that wire right around my little earring. And it's a cute little design then that you have for your button. It fills up the buttonhole. So if you want it to look like a button, you may just want to stick to the first hole. If you want to add a little bit of variety when you're looking at the button, you can wrap the silver wire around because that's going to anchor it. You can also take your pliers at the top here if you want of the wire, and you can just bend it a tiny bit. That's going to make a whole nother design in your button wrap. So here's two different ideas for kind of how to decorate your button. All you're going to do then to attach it to your ear wires is open up whatever kind of ear wire you have, fish hook, lever back, doesn't matter. You're going to slide it onto your ear wire, close your ear wire up, and you're going to have your earring. On this one I'll do the same. I'll open up my ear wire, slide it on, close it up, and I have my little coiled ear wire button. The earrings look completely different. They're two different techniques of how to use a multiple hole button. It's kind of fun also to work with thread and needle with buttons and make earrings out of those. You can also make something dangle down from the button by attaching another piece of wire here at the bottom of it, and you can decorate it up like that. But that's how to easily convert buttons into earrings. So thanks a lot for watching. If you get a chance, check us out online at potomacbeads.com. Check out our locations. We'd love to see you in one of our retail stores. You can also shop and visit us online at thebeadco.com. Thanks a lot for watching. Check out the rest of our YouTube videos, and hopefully you learned something neat to do with a little retro vintage use of using some old buttons. Thanks a lot.